Hi all, this is Once a Future Gamer and welcome to another Pokemon challenge. Last time we attempted to complete Pokemon Red with a single Rhyhorn, a challenge that went far better than expected. Granted there were a few bumps in the road, but smooth sailing otherwise. Let's try one that could be brutal today. Today we answer the question of whether or not I can beat Pokemon Emerald using my rival's team. And when I say rival, I don't mean Wally. Rather, the final team I have to use is the one that either May or Brendan would use in the final Lily Cove rival fight. As well as the exact same Pokemon, I have to use the exact same moveset. The rival uses a combination of 4 of Tropius, Slugma, Ludicolo, Pelipper and the starter that is strong against yours. What I will say is I got the idea from watching Mah-Dry-Bread do something similar with the Gen 1 rival team and I thought it was a cool idea. So just a quick thing about the rules then. In combat I can only use the rival's final team. Other Pokemon we needed for HMs but they won't be permitted to fight. I can use other moves until they get the final moveset, but once they do I can't use anything else. The movesets are the last 4 moves that they learn before they level they're at in the final fight, so I don't have TMs to use. No items in battle beyond held items and Pokeballs, and last of all, no glitches or exploits. I personally believe this is going to be horrible, especially late game. Some of these movesets are, for want of a better term, pathetic. It's no wonder that neither Brendan nor May were ever seen as a serious threat in the game. We get a water type that knows no water moves and only a weak flying move to attack. Slugma is one step up from useless. Grovyle and Tropius might be doing a lot of the heavy lifting here, especially at the Elite Four. Tropius has a base stat total of 460, Slugma of 250, Pelipper of 430 and Grovyle of 405. So, to be fair, Slugma aside, I've actually got bad Pokemon to work with, but again, the movesets are horrible. There's no need for the UPR this time. I reckon I might attempt to do this over time with all 3 starters, but I'm going to do the first attempt with Treecko. This will probably be the easiest one, given the options of what movesets Marshtomp and Combusken have. We encounter Professor Birch and get our Treecko, stopping the Professor from getting what I can only assume is the Pokemon version of Rabies by beating his Zigzagoon, and I can't think of a good nickname, so I call him Alberto. No reason beyond lack of creativity. We've got the Brave Nature, which might be an issue, lowered speed and increased attack, but we're pretty fast, so I can't see it being too much of a problem. The only minor gripe is that 2 of our moves, Leaf Blade and Pursuit, are special in this game. We'll get some good joy out of Fury Cutter, but how often do you ever hear someone champion that move, and for good reason in earlier gens too. Anyway, we can't catch anything else yet, so I head north to have an encounter with our rival. May uses a Torchic. A crit pound wipes out over half its health. It lands a few attacks, but we keep hitting it over and over until it goes down. Same as any Pokemon battle strategy, really. The next item of business, I catch a Wingull to the west of Petalburg City and nickname her Arya. She has the lax nature, so increased defense and lowered special defense. Not good if she gets tagged with any electric attacks, but that would probably be an issue regardless of whatever nature we had. Last Pokemon we'll get for a while. Slugma will be after the 3rd gym. Tropius won't be until after the 5th gym. In Rustboro City, we challenge Roxanne, and given that we've got a grass type and a water type, then this should be easy. Remember, until the final moveset is completed, I can use other moves the Pokemon learns beforehand, so Water Gun is fair game until Arya gets her last move. Anyway, Arya is at level 12 and Alberto is at level 14, so we should be at a good level for this. That's the theory anyway. It goes badly. Both Geodude go down to Water Gun attacks from Arya, and then Nose Pass comes out. Water Gun wipes out 3/4 of its health, and then it one-hits Arya with a super effective Rock Tomb. Worse, Absorb does absolutely nothing. I whittle it down again and again. She uses a berry and 2 potions over the course of the fight. I get Nose Pass down to about 1/4 of her health, and she knocks us out with another Rock Tomb. That was a lot of effort for little reward. I might need to look at this again. I do a bit of grinding, I get Arya to level 15 and Alberto evolves into Grovyle at level 16, learning 2 of his final moveset, Pursuit and Fury Cutter. Arya also has 2 moves, having learned Wing Attack earlier. Right then, let's go and try knocking Roxanne's red lights out. Second attempt starts the same as the first, with Arya beating 2 Geodude before inflicting good damage on Nose Pass and getting crushed by Rock Tomb. I have issues over how many times that move landed, given my experience of using the move in Gen 3, consists of it missing every other turn. Anyway, Alberto comes out, lands Absorb, and then immediately has most of his health wiped out by a crit Rock Tomb. But we managed to whittle down Nose Pass, who doesn't go for the move again, landing several Absorbs in a row, even as she heals in a vain attempt to delay the inevitable. First badge down, let's move on. I do some EV training on Whismur because I believe they give special attack EVs. There's a fight with May before we leave, and this is not the fight that for some random reason she has a Torkoal in. Arya one hits Lotad with wing attack before finishing Treecko off with 2 water guns, it using focus energy on itself in between the attacks. Brave choice indeed. Anyway, the second gym is versus Brawley. Before I do though, I do some EV training for defence in Granite Cave for Arya, which will be useful when she's a majestic Pelipper. I begin with Arya versus Brawley. She one hits matchup with wing attack, then does the same very quickly to Meditite. Makuhita is tougher though, it survives wing attack, eats a citrus berry and then uses bulk up. I hit it with another wing attack and it lands vital throw for decent damage before another wing attack sends it crashing to the canvas. North of Slateport, Arya evolves into a Pelipper and she's got a final moveset of Protect, Mist, Supersonic and Wing Attack. I predict Gym 3 is going to be horrible at this point. I might want to level up Alberto far more first. Mind you though, we've got a May fight first and fair where fair is due, this is often the hardest one. Mind you, I start with Alberto against a Wingull and land Screech. I have no idea why I did so. It lands Supersonic. Emphasis on the word landing, given I must have tried the move a dozen times since Arya learned it and it's landed precisely once. Alberto lands Absorb for half of Wingull's health and then gets tagged with Wing Attack. My nerve goes and I bring Arya out. She takes down the Wingull, 2 hits the Combusken with Wing Attack, taking weak damage in the process before Lombre is also taken down by Wing Attack. Doing a bit of training to the west of Morville, Alberto learns Leaf Blade, and with Screech, Pursuit, Leaf Blade and Fury Cutter, he's got his final move set. We do beat Wally, but it's barely worth talking about. Alberto is nearly twice his Raltzer's level and destroys it with Pursuit. Watson won't be a destroying matter though. I predict a lot of failed attempts to his Magneton unless we get lucky. Anyway, I one-hit Voltorb and Electrite with Alberto's Leaf Blade attacks before Magneton comes out and I land Leaf Blade for about a third of its health. It lands Thunder Wave. On to the next turn, it also lands Supersonic. Thankfully though, we never hit ourselves in confusion. We do get fully paralysed on a few occasions throughout the fight, but we free hit Magneton with Leaf Blade. Last is Manectric, and the first Leaf Blade does decent damage. It heals itself with a berry and does nothing but howl. Thankfully, the second Leaf Blade is a crit that wipes out all of its remaining health, and I take the third badge. That was easier than I thought it would be. The next one will be interesting though, the next gym. On the road, I look for a Slugma in the Fiery Path. When I get one, I nickname her Lavanna, and she has the Magma Armour ability. Probably the worst of the two, given the other option was Flame Body and the impish nature, so increased defence and lowered special attack. Not really ideal for the fire move that she'll get, but I suppose it'll have to do. Not really much happens now until the Maxi fight at Mount Chimney. Lavanna starts against Mychienna and uses Ember before getting Sand Attack. It also lands a Bite, but 2 more Ember attacks take it out. I bring out Arya against Camerupt and nearly one-hit it with Wing Attack before it lands Ember and Maxi heals. 2 more Wing Attacks take it out though. The last is Zubat and Arya knocks it out with Wing Attack. Flannery is our upcoming opponent, and as our only super effective move is Rock Throw from Slugma, this could be interesting. First fight goes very badly. I use Lavanna first and she sends out Numel. I switch into Alberto and take the Magnitude that was meant for Slugma. Alberto then takes it out with Leaf Blade. Alberto inflicts big damage on Camerupt with Leaf Blade, but it's knocked out by Overheat. Arya comes out and takes down Camerupt eventually, even as she heals. I go for Supersonic approximately 6 times in this fight and it misses 4 of them. Spoiler alert. Arya also knocks Slugma out with 3 wing attacks after she heals. And then it's Torkoal, a battle that takes a long time. First, as Arya tries to keep it confused, I even use Protect to avoid being tagged with Body Slam, but it's all to little avail, as eventually Torkoal takes Arya down with a Sunny Day powered Overheat. When Lavanna comes out to face Torkoal, I land 2 sun-powered Embers, but get hit with Body Slam and Overheat to quickly overwhelm me. That wasn't particularly good. I grind a bit, and when I go back to rematch Flannery, Alberto's at level 40, Arya and Lavanna are both level 38. We should be in a better position now. This time, I begin with Alberto to face Numel, and we smash it out with 1 Leaf Blade. Camerupt gets taken out with a crit Leaf Blade, and next is Slugma. I send Lavanna out and she nails Slugma with Rock Throw as it puts up Sunny Day and Light Screen. She heals it twice, I throw an Amnesia and a couple of Hardens up to prep for Torkoal. Eventually, as the Light Screen fades, we take it down with Rock Throw and Ember. Last is the aforementioned Torkoal, and before Lavanna goes down, she lands a few Rock Throws on Torkoal for decent damage. I send Alberto out with a great plan to Screech it so that Arya can mess it up with Wing Attack. White Smoke puts paid to that plan, and I reckon I can salvage it until Torkoal uses a tract. I get Alberto out of there immediately. Arya keeps slamming into it with wing attacks. It lands body slam attacks on her, paralysing her, but eventually we manage to deal enough damage on it that it goes down, and I still had Alberto to spare. Phew, 4 badges down. Next is the fight against Norman, or as he'd say, that's dad to you, son. First is Spinder, and I start with Arya, going for mist before it attacks. I go for wing attack, and it strikes back with Psybeam before a second wing attack finishes it. Next is Vigoroth, and I start with a crit wing attack before it strikes back with Slash. Norman heals it, and I hammer back with more wing attacks, eventually knocking it out. Next is Lanoon, and Arya attacks with, you've guessed it, wing attack, before Lanoon uses Belly Drum to put itself on red health. Norman heals it, and I go for wing attack again and again to finish it. That was momentarily scary. Last is Slacking, and I give Arya a rest, sending out Lavanna. I go for Harden, but it hits Facade first and does huge damage. I use an Ember while it's loafing around and do about a quarter of its health before it finishes Slugma with Facade. I go for Alberto next and hammer it with Leaf Blade for massive damage, causing it to eat the berry. Ultimately though, Alberto's Leaf Blade is superior and eventually does enough damage to finish off Norman's ace. 5 badges down, we can go get the last member of the team now. I put her around a bit until I find a Tropius. First one gets away from me thanks to an unfortunate crit. Well, it's not like I can teach someone false swipe now, is it? Second one gets away from me too after I forget how Fury Cutter works. Eventually, we catch one and nickname him Dino. He has the rash nature, which means more special attack and less special defence, which could be fatal versus ice types. Well, more fatal anyway. Also, he has 3 of the 4 final moves. We just need Magic Leaf. After a lot of training, we encounter May again after the Weather Institute and I unleash Dino on her. Her Pelipper is annoying as it goes for Protect to block Magical Leaf, but the second does massive damage to it. It gets missed up before I finish it off with Stomp. I leave Dino out against Combusken, would be handy if we had a flying move, but I stomp it for most of its health, and as it bulks up, I finish it with another Stomp. Last is Lombre, who lands Fake Out before throwing a Nature Power, turns Swift at Dino. Magical Leaf takes out most of its health before it hits Swift Power again, and Stomp finishes it. Last mandatory rival fight, but we will be facing her in Lily Cove City. We've got the Flying Gym next, and it's another we don't particularly match up well against. Alberto and Dino will be weak. Lavanna and Arya might have to do a bit of heavy lifting here for once. Against Winona, I start with Arya versus Swablu. Arya lamps it with wing attack, dealing big damage before it uses mirror move to deal a whopping 15-point crit hit wing attack. She heals it and 2 more wing attacks knock it out. Next, Winona goes to Tropius and I bring Lavanna out. She lands Ember on it and Winona uses Sunny Day. Her Tropius' ability kicks in and she lands Aerial Ace on Slugma, who finishes it with Ember. Next is Pelipper and I bring out Alberto, who deals big damage with Leaf Blade before Winona lands Supersonic. I try to finish her, she uses Protect and Alberto hits himself before Leaf Blade does finish it off. Next is Skarmory and I go back to Lavanna. Unfortunately the Sunny Day has faded. She lands a crit Aerial Ace on Slugma, but before a second Ember attack can finish Skarmory off, she brings in Altaria, who does finish Slugma off. Next I go into Arya, who trades blows with Altaria over and over, Winona even healing it. Worse, she starts using Dragon Dance, which is very worrying. It doesn't affect Dragon Breath, but it makes Aerial Ace hit a lot harder. When Arya goes down, I bring in Dino and Whirlwind her out to reset the stat gains before Dino knocks first Skarmory out with Magical Leaf and then Altaria with Stomp. That was a gruelling battle towards the end. In Lily Cove City we have the last May fight of the game. Lavanna faces Tropius and burns it with an Ember before it counters with Sweet Scent. A second Ember takes it out. Arya comes out to face Combusken and wing attack knocks it out. Dino comes out to face Pelipper and Magical Leaf doesn't quite knock it out. Stomp would have finished it off but for Protect, but at the second attempt Pelipper goes down. Last is Ludicolo and Alberto comes out to face it, Leaf Blading it twice for victory, only taking a swift attack in exchange. Granted, we have the same team and moves she would have had if she picked Treecko, but my Pokemon are 10 to 15 levels higher. I go into the department store and it occurs to me that this is the first Pokemon challenge I've done where I actually need to concern myself with buying revives. Normally on single Pokemon runs I don't, but we're not doing too bad I suppose. We head to the Magma hideout next to face Maxi. This one is interesting. Arya versus Mychina, and because of Intimidate, wing attack doesn't hurt it much, so I switch into Lavanna, who promptly gets hit with Swagger. I managed to inflict big damage on it with Ember, but before Lavanna can finish Mychina off, Maxi swaps it for Camerupt, who tanks Ember quite well. I go into Dino because I figure a ground move is coming my way, and Earthquake fails against Tropius. Magical Leaf inflicts big damage on Camerut, and although it lands Rock Slide, which Dino tanks easily, and Maxi heals his Pokemon, we take it out. Last is Crobat, and it hits harder than Camerut did, and we don't deal as much damage to it with Stomp, so I will win it out and bring back my Tiina, finishing it with Magical Leaf. With Crobat coming back out, I go into Aya, who deals with the wing attacks far easier than Dino did. Although she gets confused at the end, her wing attack is enough to take Crobat down. We've got the Aqua Hideout next, but after that is the 7th gym, and I'm actually feeling pretty confident about this. This is normally horrible in single Pokemon challenges, but now that it's a fair fight, we'll see just how tough Tate and Liza actually are. I begin with Aya and Dino, just purely to stop us getting nailed by Earthquake. Xatu starts with Calm Mind, and Aya aims wing attack at Claydol. Dino does the same with Magical Leaf. Claydol throws up Light Screen before the leaves can land though. It still takes Claydol to quarter health. Xatu lands Psychic on Aya, who immediately counters with wing attack before Claydol puts Aya down with Psychic. I send Lavanna out next as Dino finishes Claydol with Magical Leaf. Lunatone comes out next. Before Lavanna can aim a rock throw at Xatu, she gets wiped out by Psychic. Alberto leaps into the fray next as Lunatone uses Calm Mind. Dino crashes a somewhat ineffective Magical Leaf into Lunatone, doing a third of its health. I decide to focus on Xatu as Alberto hits it with Pursuit before it makes a bad mistake and puts up Sunny Day, which will activate Dino's ability. Lunatone hits Alberto with Psychic before Dino finishes Xatu off with Stomp. Next is Solrock, and I double up on it. Leaf Blade and Magical Leaf smash into Solrock to take it out before it's even had a chance to attack. Lunatone blasts Alberto with Psychic though, and the light screen finally fades, leaving this a one-on-one fight. Dino goes to Magical Leaf to nearly take Lunatone out, but it counters with Psychic and eats a Citrus Berry. Dino's still got plenty of juice left and lands another Magical Leaf for the win. Dino, definitely MVP there, most valuable Pokemon. 7 down. I traipse through the seafloor cavern next, fighting off Team Aqua till I encounter Archie. Alberto takes the chance to shine here, knocking out my China with Leaf Blade before Crobat comes out. I withdraw Alberto and send in Aya. Pelipper and Crobat trade wing attacks for ages and ages and ages. Archie even heals it twice before Crobat lands Confuse Ray. With Crobat weak, Aya hits herself and goes down after a brutal fight, before I figure out Alberto is the only one I've got who will outspeed Crobat. He comes in and takes it down with Pursuit before one-hitting Sharpedo with Leaf Blade. Next is story stuff, Sky Pillar, box art legendaries, save the world, that sort of stuff. Need to get that out of the way before I can go back to focusing on my own personal goals. I'm sorry, but the scene where Rayquaza comes down to kick off at Groudon and Kyogre, it looks top on Game Boy Advance. Can you imagine how this would have looked on the 3DS if they'd included it in Auras? I'm not overly concerned about Hoenn in this run, and I begin with Dino to face Love Disc. It goes badly as it uses Attract, and I switch to Aya, who knocks it out with 2 wing attacks, despite being hit with Water Pulse and Sweet Kiss. Whiscash is next, and I go into Alberto, who hammers it with Leaf Blade and then does the same to Celio. Kingdra comes out next, I hit it with Leaf Blade, but it starts using Double Team. It heals itself with Rest, I miss a Leaf Blade and land another one before switching into Dino, as Kingdra uses Rest again. I whirlwind it out to cancel out the double teams before knocking Crawdont out with Magical Leaf before Kingdra comes back out. With it still asleep, I go into Alberto and try a couple of Screechers. One landing, one not, just in case I have to send out Aya to face it. It wakes up and starts spamming Double Team again, but 2 Leaf Blades land either side of an Ice Beam, and they're enough to take it out. The second one, thankfully, a crit. Into Victory Road, and we've got a fight with Wally. I start with Lavanna, and he begins with Altaria, which is a pretty bad matchup. So I go quickly into Aya and start hitting it with wing attacks before he withdraws it for Magneton. I bring Lavanna back out, but she doesn't have the chance to do anything before she gets crushed by Thunderbolt and Tri-Attack. Okay then, I don't have a decent matchup, so I go for Alberto and hit it with 2 Leaf Blades, shaking off another Thunderbolt in the process. He goes for Altaria again next, and I bring Aya back out, and the 2 trade blows until Aya takes it down with, you guessed it, wing attack. Next is Delcatit, and I let Dino knock it out with 2 Magical Leaves. It does go for assist, but only succeeds in throwing up Safeguard. Next is Roselia. I bring Aya out, and she knocks it out with wing attack before Gardevoir is last, and I summon Alberto back out. Leaf Blade lands, and it goes for Future Sight before Alberto lands Pursuit and gets hit with Psychic. He survives long enough for Wally to heal Gardevoir, and we go for Fury Cutter before Future Sight knocks us out. Aya comes back out and strikes wing attack as Gardevoir goes goes to Future Sight once again, and well, a second wing attack finally takes Gardevoir out. Victory Road aggravates me immensely because of all the HMs I need. The day the Pokemon series got rid of them was well worth rejoicing in my opinion. I need Flash, so I leave Zigzagoon back for Nincada. Discover I need Rock Smash, so I have to get Zigzagoon back. I decide to leave Slugma behind and then get knocked out by a trainer with a Skarmory. I decide to leave Gyarados behind. I realise I don't have frigging strength on anything else. By the time I get out, I'm ready to murder. It doesn't help as I go back into a bit of grinding since I have doubts that are ready for the Pokemon League. Our levels probably aren't high enough to overcompensate for the moves. Lavanna's at level 52, Dino at 58, Alberto and Aya at level 60. Still, let's see what we can do. First is Sydney, and he starts with Mychina. I go with Slugma. Mychina lands Sand Attack, and I go for Ember, which does about a quarter of its health. I call Lavanna back and go for Aya. Pelipper lays into Mychina with a few wing attacks. Even as Sydney heals it, it lands several crunches on Aya before she takes it out. Next is Absol, and I choose to go for Alberto. Groval's first Leaf Blade deals massive damage. It goes for Swords Dance and eats the berry before the next Leaf Blade takes it out. Next is Shiftry, and I go for Lavanna. Shiftry throws up Swagger, and although Ember is successful in taking out half its HP, a combination of Extra Sensory and Confusion takes out Slugma. I go for Dino next, and he's immediately hit with Swagger, but a successful Stomp takes out Shiftry. Cacturn is next, and Dino does knock it out with 2 Stomp attacks, but does nearly lose 90% of his health in the fight, getting hit with Cotton Spore and a ridiculous amount of feint attacks, as well as confusion damage. Crawdont goes for Facade and takes Dino out before Alberto returns to the field and floors it with Leaf Blade. Such was the confidence of my belief that I'd be wiping at some point and going back to the PC. I didn't bring any PP heals with me. On to Phoebe next, and I start with Lavanna again. She actually puts up a decent fight against Dusclops. Phoebe has to heal it, but even with the effort of a few Hardens, it still deals a lot of damage to her. Eventually, Lavanna goes down. Alberto comes in and finishes Dusclops number 1 off with 2 pursuits before landing a few blows onto Dusclops number 2, but a Shadow Punch and a Shadow Ball make me withdraw Alberto for Aya. Pelipper tanks the blows quite well. Even Rock Slide doesn't do that much damage, but Wing Attack isn't too good for damage it in exchange. Eventually, Aya goes down and I bring out Dino and go on a Magical Leaf Tear Up as he takes out Dusclops number 2, Bayonet number 1, Sableye and Bayonet number 2 as well, even though he does get burned in the process, which deals a lot of damage over time. We got the second one down. The next one should be interesting. Glacier comes next, and I have Alberto up top for dealing with the first Celio. Alberto wrecks it with Leaf Blade, though the second Celio survives and throws up Hail. She heals it, I tackle it with Pursuit before finishing it off with Leaf Blade. She goes to Walrein, I bring Dino out to soften it up, but it's unfortunately faster and trashes Dino with Ice Beam. Aya is next, and it takes 3 attempts to land Supersonic, during which time she gets shot down with Ice Beams. When Alberto comes back out, he does Walrein in with 2 Leaf Blades, but it does crucially hit itself in confusion. Lavanna actually gets a win in this, knocking out the first Glalie after using Amnesia and Ember a bunch of times to take it out, though the second one is a bridge too far. With 17 HP left, even with plus 6 in special defense due to Amnesia, she can't survive Ice Beam. Rock Throw does pretty much nothing against it, by the way. Alberto comes out, and thanks to the first Glalie using Light Screen, Leaf Blade is ineffective, and 2 Ice Beam attacks take him down. Well, I'll be fair, that did go better than expected for a first attempt. I make plenty more attempts versus Glacier and get walled frequently, so I level, getting all of my team to at least level 70. This is a horrible task. Lavanna is the lowest at 70, Alberto is the highest at 78, and the other 2 somewhere between. When we start, Alberto takes out the first Celio with Leaf Blade before the second one very quickly goes down in the same way. 2 down, 3 to go. Walrein is next, and I go into Dino and land Magical Leaf, putting it in red health. It hits Dino with Ice Beam, and I'll be honest, I expected a knockout, but Dino takes it like a champ and survives with 14 HP left, landing another Magical Leaf as she heals the Walrein, and then Dino finishes it with Stomp. Glalie number 1 comes out. I figure Dino is due a hit, so I land Stomp and hope for the flinch before he goes down to Icy Wind. Next is Lavanna, and Glalie throws up Light Screen, so I put some Amnesias up in hopes of surviving longer. It gets 2 crits in a row with Crunch, and Lavanna goes down. Well, that was a waste. Aya comes out and finishes off the first Glalie, though it does land Icy Wind and Ice Beam. Last Glalie comes out, I take Aya out to recover her speed, and Alberto hammers it with Leaf Blade while it uses Hail in exchange before she then heals it. Pursuit and Leaf Blade finally take her down. Against Dragon Trainer Drake for the first attempt, I go with Levana up first. His Shelgon tries to be a staller, so I might be able to build some amnesia to resist the special type dragon moves. I'm not wildly hopeful of this strategy, but we'll see. Well, very quickly, I'm proved right. I managed to get an amnesia off and then start peppering it with embers to try and get a burn. It lands Rock Tomb, Dragon Claw and double-edged attacks on Levana. I do get it into red health, but Drake heals it and it's too much for Slugma to take it out. I go into Arya next to finish off Shelgon with a pair of wing attacks, and Drake goes for Salamence next. I switch into Alberto to take the Intimidate and then go straight back into Arya, who has to face a Flamethrower from Salamence. I land Supersonic and the move does give me quite good luck. Salamence hits itself a bunch of times, all while getting laid out by wing attacks. Eventually, Arya takes the pseudo-legendary down. Next is Altaria, and without really a better option, I keep Arya in. She lands Supersonic at the second attempt, and Altaria lands a few Dragon Dance powered attacks, but hits itself a bunch of times too. Eventually, with Arya having 5 HP left, Altaria goes down. Kingdra is next, and I give Arya a rest. She's earned it. Alberto takes it out with a pair of Leaf Blades. Finally, Dino faces Flygon. He takes 2 Flamethrower attacks, but Flygon is very much not a special attacker, so he survives them quite well before using a pair of Magical Leafs to knock Flygon out. All 4 done. That just leaves the champion. I don't bother wasting the revive on Levana. She's not been the most useful throughout and will probably devolve into completely useless in this fight. Now, Wallace is a water type trainer and I happen to have a pair of grass types and a part water type. You'd think this would be easy, wouldn't you? I start with Alberto versus Wailord. I figure he's got more of a chance of a one hit with Leaf Blade than Dino does with Magical Leaf. Alberto one hits Wailord with Leaf Blade before Milotic comes out and I send Arya in. The 2 trade blows, Arya lands Supersonic and Milotic lands Toxic before Arya eventually knocks Milotic out despite it using Recover. Next is Tentacruel and I send Dino in. I whirlwind it out but not before it lands Toxic. Whiscash comes out and Dino Magical Leafs it. Tentacruel comes back out. Alberto lands Leaf Blade and it misses Toxic. A second Leaf Blade doesn't quite finish it off and it lands Toxic at the second attempt. Worse, he heals it, meaning Alberto has to try and knock it out again, getting hit with a Sludge Bomb attack, which leaves him weak. I switch into Dino, but he goes straight in front of an Ice Beam and gets taken out, while Alberto goes down from poison damage. Arya does take Tentacruel out and inflicts big damage on Ludicolo, but it's all a bridge too far, and we fail. I did save before the fight, so I tried it again just so that I didn't waste the PP restores. The second attempt, I do get to the final Pokemon, Gyarados, but Alberto goes down to poison damage. At the 4th attempt, this happens though. Wailord goes down to Alberto's Leaf Blade. Next is Milotic, and on the 3 previous attempts, I used Arya against it. I know from a previous run that Alberto can survive an Ice Beam easily from Milotic, so I leave Alberto in, and despite taking an Ice Beam, I hammer it into submission with a pair of Leaf Blades. The reason that this is important is the issues I had with Tentacruel in the other runs. We're faster than Milotic, so it's not a problem. Next is Tentacruel, and this time I use Arya. It's capable of messing up both Dino and Alberto, so Arya faces a jellyfish and starts hitting it with wing attacks. She gets hit with Toxic in exchange, but keeps at it like a trooper, even as she gets blasted with Ice Beam. Wallace heals, and Arya carries on the wing attack offensive, taking out Tentacruel with a lucky crit. Ludicolo is next and Dino comes out. This is a battle of attrition as I hurl Magical Leaf attacks at it. It continually uses Double Team and Surf attacks, neither of which bother me much. About the most annoying thing is Wallace healing it twice. Magical Leaf can't miss and Surf doesn't hurt that much. Next is Whiscash, who goes down easily to Magical Leaf. Last is Gyarados, and Dino stays out to land Magical Leaf. Gyarados lands Surf, not a problem, and then gets 2 Dragon Dance attacks off, in between Wallace healing it. That's a scary prospect. Dino lands more Magical Leaf attacks before Gyarados hits a Hyper Beam and it proves to be the end of Dino. Alberto comes out and, this is crucial, with the Dragon Dancers in effect, Gyarados is faster. It needs to recharge though. My starter lands the final blow with Leaf Blade to take us into the Hall of Fame. That, most of the game wasn't too bad. The Elite Four were horrific though, particularly Phoebe and Glacier. Normally we go to the post game with Steven Stone, but with the move set, I think we'd probably have to have all Pokemon at level 100, and given I've spent nearly 150 hours on this challenge already, I really want to draw a line in the sand and move on. this was the Treecko run. I do intend to do it with both the Rivals Torchic and Mudkip teams at some point. Next time I go back to single Pokemon runs as I see if I can beat Pokemon Silver with a single Larvitar. That one should be fun. As always, if you have any ideas you want to see me doing challenges, drop them in the comments section or at my Twitter page. If you have enjoyed this and want to see me make more content in this mold, then like, comment and subscribe. I get an ego boost out of it. So we're almost out of time. All that's left to say is this has been Once and Future Gamer, and thanks so much for joining me on this romp through Hoenn.